All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Academy of Man podcast. This is episode number 7. And if you listen to episode number 6, you know that this is going to be a wild ride because we're doing a I guess take 2 would be a good idea or a good name for it, but part 2
Yeah.
on that previous conversation. So if you have not listened to that conversation, go check it out first and then come back to this one, because we're gonna be talking and reflecting on a lot of different topics that we discussed last time.
Yeah. And just to piggyback and add to what he's saying, when we finished episode 6, Joel and I sat and spoke for a little bit afterwards, and we realized that there was quite a few other things or intricacies that go into relationships in general and marriages that we didn't really get to touch base on, just because
of the length, really,
Yeah,
and the how big the actual topic is and how many different branches
yeah.
we discussed.
Yeah, I was being a little selfish too. There was like some personal questions that I asked in there. I realized that.
Well, actually, I think that's in. If I were in your shoes, I would want to figure out.
Yeah,
Some
they
personal
were
questions.
honest questions.
So-
And then also, I do think that the listener would benefit. Maybe they had a similar question, or if they didn't have that question at all, they thought to themselves, "Oh, I didn't even think to ask that." And
Yes,
maybe they got something
exactly.
out of it also,
Exactly.
which is why I was just like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna just ask."
Yeah. No, I
But,
think.
yeah. That being said, where do you feel like we left off, or
Well,
where should we start?
yeah, I think the last conversation we discussed many different topics, specifically in relationships. But there were a few that, for example, that we can continue to elaborate on. Specifically, we never touched on sex.
Right.
We never
Intimacy.
touched on children.
Yeah.
You know, we dabbled a little bit on finances. My dollar is your dollar.
Yeah.
But that intricacy of that communication, the depth of figuring out how to speak with the
Yeah.
other person, and or figuring out their body language, lack thereof, etc. When someone's down, how to maneuver that, their emotions, right?
Yeah.
Just the everyday living of with being with a partner. And so I wanted to touch on just a few of those. Like intimacy, to me, it's a great start, like a great gateway.
Yeah, especially for us younger people.
Yeah.
That is often, the traditional structure of marriage would be, you court them, you ask for their hand, you get married, then you're intimate.
Correct.
Now it's normally you jump around.
Right.
All the factors are still there. The courting, the asking for the hand, the intimacy are there, but they're just not in this traditional 1 through 5 or 1 through 10.
Yeah. Not only that, but also I'm not sure if it's always been this way, but men have slept around throughout the ages.
Yeah.
Women, on the other hand, may or may not have been given the freedom to shop around as often as men have.
Yeah.
And I say, shop around because that's literally what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're shopping around to see which one would be the best
Yeah, almost literally.
candidate.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's part of our nature.
Yeah.
To an extent. It's just the fabric of social structures get in the way of.
Or at least they help dictate.
That's true. They may be a guide
Yeah.
to because different animals have different things, right?
Yeah.
And sure, I don't want to compare us to animals, but we do see it in the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
And so we are part of this ecosystem as well, where the mere fact that you're courting in itself is a way of attracting a mate.
Yeah. That's how we.
You know what I'm saying?
It literally is that. Yeah.
Whatever the courting ritual may be, whether you're in Japan, China, Russia, Europe, Africa, the Western Hemisphere, I'm sure it will change within the different cultures, but it still seems to be part of the process. Now, there are some exceptions to the rule, obviously.
Yeah.
Like you have arranged marriages. That's a huge one.
Yeah. do you even want to be intimate with that person, right? Like,
not only do you want to be intimate with that person, but you don't even get to choose.
right. Yeah. That sucks, bro.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it has its advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah.
I can think of more disadvantages than the other side.
Right.
But you know?
Yeah.
Because if I was stuck in an arranged marriage and I don't know.
I think that, like, most of the intricacies, or like most of the factors that play into a relationship, the friction can be reduced just by being a decent communicator.
Yeah.
And
for sure,
to its most practical sense, just ask, and it's important also when communicating to be honest. Because if you're not being honest, you're just kind of cheating yourself, especially in situations like that. If you, for a practical sense, and since we're talking about intimacy, if you're not sure on how you would like to be pleased, communicate that you are unsure how you would like to be pleased. Open the door for the partner to kind of like go on this journey with you, and you'll find that there will be a very low amount of psychological friction.
Yeah, and you know why you want to do that early?
Why?
Because you're most likely going to be with this person for a long time.
Yeah.
If you've gotten to this point.
Yeah.
There's a possibility. Unless you're still in the dating scene.
Right.
Right? But for a person to know your body, I'm sure it takes time.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to invest that time into the other person, might as well figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out early.
And be open with what you don't know.
Yeah. Intimacy is very interesting because it's literally part of the entire process. Is the process as well. I was thinking about children, right? Because what happens when you get intimate? You eventually create a child.
Yeah.
If given enough time,
right.
Sure, and purpose, and luck, I would say, that you do create a child. And one of the things about creating a child that I've always perceived or like to discuss is the fact that now you're uniting one individual with the other through this person, this new child. It is a bond.
Yeah.
It's a bond that may or may not outlive the life of that child, because once let's just say that child passes away, I'm no longer tied to you in regards to this child. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because that's it. We were just
different
parents.
kind of connection, different kind of bond that you
exactly.
have with the person.
And it's a life bond.
Yeah.
It's literally a life bond.
It's like a stock, right?
to an extent.
You're always checking Robinhood to see where it's at.
Yeah, where it's at, right? And so if you have multiple, now it just becomes more complicated.
Right.
Right?
There's multiple different stocks you got to check.
Exactly.
That's just my primitive brain. I'm sorry.
But to the extent of the conversation that it is a life bond that you have with another person, despite the fact that you may or may not be together. You still have that bond.
Yeah.
Only death takes away that bond. It could be the mother passed away, or it could be the father passed away, or it could be that the child passed away. But that bond has created because two individuals decided to get intimate.
Yeah.
Mic drop. So
we need a soundboard.
Yeah, right.
for things like that. Dime.
So overall, I don't know. I just let that sink in. Think about that for a minute, because it's the one thing that us human can create. It's a creation, that life bond.
Yeah.
you know, and it is part of marriage or not being married. So those are things that, you know, you really got to think about too. Who it is that you're exactly procreating with.
Yeah. You know, the responsibility of being a parent always scared me.
Yes.
Especially when I started to become a lot more aware of the fact that the perfect learning environment does not exist. And just knowing that alone brings me a tremendous amount of fear when thinking like I'm a parent.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I first asked you, I was like, wow, like everything must be much more intense for you now. Because, you know, if somebody cuts you off and almost causes a car accident, you know, they didn't just cause you a car accident, you know, or they didn't just take your life, they took away Selma's father.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean, that's a whole different. They took away Selma's food for the next year.
Yeah.
They took away her housing for the next year.
Yep.
I mean, that's not, you know, you got a solid.
It's an extreme case, but to your point.
Yeah, and I still am somewhat taken back by that fear lately. It's just been preying on me, especially my best friend Steven. I just went to his baby shower, and I was thinking to myself, like, damn, at first I was thinking, you know, wow, me and him used to get drunk together in college. Remember all this fun we had. Now he's settling down, and he's about to have a kid, and he's having a girl. Yeah. And she's going to be born later this year. And I was just thinking to myself, like, damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
The amount of responsibility that comes into parenthood.
Yeah.
It's scary as fuck to think
about. It is scary as fuck. And one of the things that definitely used to cause me anxiety prior to me having a child was the fact that I'm gonna have to feed this person. Like the you know, when a kid says, "Daddy, I'm hungry."
Yeah.
What are you gonna say? What are you gonna do? Not feed him? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's. And so, for example, with Samantha can feed herself.
Yeah.
We can feed ourselves.
You don't gotta take care.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I don't have to wipe her ass, potty train her. I don't have to worry about her feeding. Yeah, sure, obviously, you know, we're a couple, and each other's health is, to an extent, important. But I never have to worry about that. You know, like, hey, has this child been fed?
You can trust her to make the primitive decisions for herself.
Yes, exactly.
If she's thirsty, drink water.
Yep.
If you are hungry,
so
eat.
that to me caused me anxiety for sure.
Yeah. Well, so circle us back to relationships. What would you say are the top three hacks, if you will, to make a marriage work?
Top three? I would have to say, to make a marriage work, I would say this. Couples therapy. In a modern age. Couples therapy. Maybe therapy was not a thing back in the day. Or people may not have had access to it.
Yeah.
But if only if you want to make your marriage work.
Yeah.
When you find yourself in that given point where you're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Yeah.
Right? At that point, you have two choices. You can give up, or you can continue to fight for your marriage. You can continue to see if you can find a solution to the problem.
Yeah.
Whatever that problem or multiple problems may be, right?
Okay. Couples therapy.
Couples therapy is A1.
Okay.
For sure. Because what happens is that I'm pissed off at you, right? I'm so pissed off I can't even talk to you. So then the communication line breaks. And there may be multiple different things that causes that communication line to break.
Yeah.
So what happens is that you find a mediator, which is the therapist.
Yeah.
Right? And then that person now figures out where their job is to figure out where did this go wrong, or where exactly is the disconnect.
Yeah.
Why are you angry? Why are you not angry? What's going on with you? Etc. Etc. So that to me is very important.
So couples therapy 1.
Yeah. So couples therapy for sure. Investing time into the person is crucial.
Mm-hmm. Like what sense? Like experiences?
Experiences, being with the person.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we prioritized early was like going to sleep together. Maybe one of us would stay, like once I had my own business, I would wake up and I would go work.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, like try to have at least one person fall asleep together.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a vacuum
Mm-hmm.
when you don't have your other person next to you.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, all right, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Because you become accustomed to the day-to-day life of, this is my side, this is your side. Sure, we could switch for a week or whatever, but these are generally our side, right?
Yeah.
We know that they want their water right there or whatever it is. And so when the person's not there, that can cause distress. Samantha would have nights that she would not be able to fall asleep without next to me.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was because her entire life, she's always shared the bed with, or not the bed, but the room with another individual.
Yeah.
Most people grow up with brothers, sisters, accustomed to it, right? Yeah. Most people have not gone through the process of sleeping by themselves. Maybe.
So we got couples therapy, quality time for the partner.
Yeah.
Give me one more.
I think, I don't want to say communication, but I would have to say you got to make the other person laugh. If you can have those 3 things, you have a successful marriage.
Yeah.
Couples therapy, because now we can solve problems with a mediator.
Yeah.
Time into the person, because at the end of the day, the relationship has compound interest on it, for sure. And then lastly, you got to make the other person laugh. You have to make the other person laugh, bro. If we're not laughing, we don't have a home.
I see. Now, I would like to point out that the difference is, there's a difference between marriage and just being in a relationship.
For sure.
And so what do you think, would you say, are 3 key things that need to be present for a successful relationship?
That's different. I may not. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might be tough for you being far out.
Yeah, for sure. I might not have the same.
I mean, this might be beneficial for you too.
I think there are multiple factors that get intertwined in there. The biggest one is that it's easier to leave the other person, for sure.
Yeah, that's
one thing. Where the connection can be easily severed.
Yeah.
When you're in a marriage, you know the other person's social security number, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it gets that deep.
Yeah. Cause
it's like, yo, we got a mortgage together. We got a loan together. We got this. We got that. You know what I'm saying? So that intricacy, I would say for sure, is very different. But I wouldn't know. I would say relationship. I don't know, bro. If you're talking to me about just dating, I wouldn't be able to tell you, honestly. Yeah, just because I've just been focused on one person for so long. Yeah. You know? But what would you say?
3 things that need to be present to date.
Yeah.
Or to be in a relationship. I think that
definitely attraction.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be like completely setting aside the fact that you have to find the person attractive.
Mm-hmm.
You also need to there's a few like primitive things that are in my head like the no-brainers, like that like is one of them. Attraction, that person needs to be polite, presentable. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Nah, I think those are more like likes.
no, but I'm just saying in general, like nobody wants to be with somebody who's rude and disgusting.
You'd be surprised.
Whether if you find that, no, but even if they are dating that, they in their mind, that person's not disgusting. That person is nice. You know what I'm trying to say?
Maybe.
Like the standard of polite is different for everyone. The bar of polite and beauty is
That is
different
true.
for everyone. So in that person's eyes, you need to be that.
Yeah. You have to
bearable.
meet like
You
at
need to be
least.
bearable,
Yeah.
yeah. So-
No, for sure.
Yeah, so you need to be beautiful or attractive to that person. You need to be somewhat bearable. But I think having the being this is like an Eminem quote. Being smart enough to feel stupid
Mm-hmm.
is a big one. Lately I've been giving a lot of thought to our last conversation about how high the probability for chaos
Yo,
is
I thought about
when
that, bro.
when you decide to take on another human being.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that recently I've come to realize that I've underestimated the responsibility of being in a relationship with someone. And I think that a lot of people my age do for a very long time. And some people die before they realize the impact really a relationship could have on somebody, a romantic relationship could have on someone.
Yes.
And I just, it's given me a lot of difficulty with trying to get into one, or in general, for me personally,
Yeah.
like being aware of the stakes. And I definitely have noticed that through working on myself and through my journey of finding pride and becoming more proud of myself, it's become a lot more difficult to date. I'm having trouble with that as a young man, honestly speaking.
Yeah.
The more I start to value myself, the more I almost kind of demand from my partner. And I don't want to sound like a douchebag or anything.
No, but I think it's a reasonable
Yeah.
expectations. May I elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, every time I just want to say, every time I put like pen to paper, and like, because whenever I have trouble with processing something mentally, I like to write it down.
Yeah.
And then read it to myself.
Yep.
To see if I'm being logical. And so my journal sometimes is just filled with a bunch of statements that are just random. But anyways,
Yeah.
when I read it back to myself, I don't see myself being irrational by wanting certain things now.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm in like my own echo chamber about certain things, which is why I'm not very like, I still allow certain things to happen even though I don't really like it or approve of it, because I'm worried that I'm navigating people with my biases.
Yeah.
And I think that's very toxic.
Yeah.
But to a certain extent, they irritate me. And I'm just, and I've noticed that ever since, like I said, I've been finding this newfound pride and comfort with myself. I'm kind of like a lot more dismissive towards things that I don't really like. When before, I would still be very open to the idea of entertaining something, even though I didn't like XYZ. Am I making sense?
100%, bro.
Yeah. So what is it that you want?
Yeah.
to...
So based on the value system, also, for example, one of the things that as a young man,
Yeah.
right, when you don't have anything, you may accept a wide variety of things.
Yeah.
Right? Just because the value system of yourself is not there. You don't really know how much you're worth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And starting off, which is the most wild thing, is that as men, if we don't have any inheritance from our fathers or whatever, we start with nothing or close to nothing.
Literally, yeah. No, you're right.
You know? And so because of that, a lot of us go through the same journey of just like, as the older we get and the more value we acquire, now our standards is like, for example, if I have 4 or 5 houses, right? Am I just randomly gonna get married to a random person?
No, the stakes are high.
Way too high.
Yeah.
Right? If my family owns a large corporation and I am inheriting 200 million stocks in the company, am I gonna marry someone that the next day can easily say, yo, let's just break this, I want half?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. I think a big part of it is my personality.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to kind of like and also like my pride, my how proud of I am of myself, or like my pride, if you will. I think that's been like a major thing for me. I have a hard time kind of like seeing myself in a certain like, cause even when I say things like, oh, I deserve this kind of woman,
yeah,
I'm like, do I? You kind of ain't shit. You still don't have a house yet. You're only 26.
Absolutely.
I start to critique myself.
Yeah.
Like very harshly, and sometimes I just haven't found a happy medium yet. Sometimes I feel like the bar is irrationally high, or sometimes I feel like it's way too low. And as a young man who is coming of age, if you will, finding that steady bar where I think is I'm deserving versus
yeah, no, 100%. I think we will never feel deserving enough for certain things. Like even till now, like,
you don't think you're deserving of your wife?
I think that my bar is really high for myself, and if I were her, I would have some issues with myself.
Yeah.
Just because I'm so critical at different points of my life, where I'm at, what I'm lacking, that I just think like, yo, bro, like, do you really want to be with me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey,
no, I get it. 'Cause that's really where I'm at. Too.
Yeah, and
even when I receive the attention, that checks off all the boxes, I'm still very hypercritical.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
me, and even the person. Something like I've asked that question directly almost to.
Yeah.
Like, are you sure? Like, come on, like, you're so pendejo,
I know exactly. And so that's been difficult for me to navigate as well, especially when you're already inside of the long-term relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, listen, you might be able to find like a rich white guy.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling or whatever, but to the extent that and again, I was talking to Guru about this. Like, I've been blessed enough to accomplish a lot.
Yes,
and sometimes I struggle to see my own accomplishments. Yeah. But I think for the rest of my life, I will be critical of myself. That will
be the case for you.
To that extent.
That kind of sucks, bro.
Yeah, I know, but it's okay. I think it puts a fire on me, where it's like I always need to evolve.
Yeah.
Like I cannot be stagnant.
I think that attitude and that mental state is necessary to accomplish everything that you want to accomplish in life, because I know you personally.
Yeah.
But I do think that through moderation,
of course,
you'll be able to find the success people like myself or other people feel like you would be lacking with this mindset. And that's like the peace and the being able to enjoy and smell the flowers.
Yes.
I think that's why.
Yeah, being present.
Yeah, I think that's why you and Sam work.
Yeah.
A lot. I don't mean to sound like corny.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I feel like she grounds you a little bit.
For sure. I've always said that she's my anchor, bro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. I think you used that word exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see why it works.
Yeah.
I could see what it seems like a very sustainable.
Yeah, I think we've definitely found a happy medium.
You guys got a pretty good ecosystem.
Yeah, and that came through therapy. P.S.
Yeah, and the ability to feel smart enough to feel stupid.
Yeah,
I think that therapy doesn't work if you're not open to therapy, and there's definitely some personalities that do not, but like blend well with therapy.
I may be able to concur with that.
Yeah, and I think that those people are just not as. And this is just me speaking. Like I'm no god or fucking I don't have any PhDs or anything. I think those people are not as psychologically developed as they should be.
There may be a potential for that.
Yeah, because there's no, like, I genuinely feel like some people have certain lives that condition them to be their own God and their own doctor and their own source of credibility.
Right.
And I think that, like, you know how selfish and self-centered you gotta be.
Yeah, you
to think that your word is the end all be all. I hate, like, some people will tell me, like, if a tree fell in the forest but nobody heard it, did it fall? And do you understand how selfish you have to be and how self-centered in general you have to be to say no to that?
Yeah.
Just because you didn't hear it fall, you will go as far as to say it didn't fall.
Yeah.
Think about that.
There's a potential of narcissism.
You really think that things don't happen outside of your vicinity? Like, your eyes could only see a couple miles down a road.
Yeah.
You think there's not...
Yeah.
There's not something beyond that.
Speaking of relationships, you know, having the relationships between our parents, it's unique as well.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. I think that's where it really starts too. I forgot who I was talking to, but somebody told me marry a woman that knows her father or has a good relationship with her father, something along those lines. Was it you?
I don't
okay.
I don't think I said that. No.
Marry a woman that has a decent relationship with their father.
Yeah. And I would add another one. She may look like her mother. So choose wisely.
Yeah.
Choose wisely, young man.
Mira, freco.
It's true.
Choose wisely.
Choose wisely.
Choose wisely, fellas. That if you take away anything from today, we hope that you take away choose wisely. I hate disclaimers because I feel like there are people who throw them out. They try to remit themselves from the consequences of what they're saying. But with all honesty, I want you guys to listen to what we are saying and develop your own opinions and conclude your own, come to your own conclusions. Yeah. With the questions that we're asking. Don't let us dictate.
No, for sure. We're no gods.
Yeah.
So don't. I better not see any followings like that.
Yeah, I feel like this has been very therapeutic for me. So
yeah, I bet, bro. I mean, just the fact that you realize that how impactful a relationship and the level of chaos. When I heard that in the last podcast, I was like, the level of chaos that you're bringing, it's insurmountable. It's you can't even like quantify it. You know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, people make perfect sense if you really just take the time to just listen to them and understand their the way they are. And I was talking with somebody about this recently. I hate being asked, and I'm bringing this up because it kind of plays into what we were talking about. I hate being asked the question, "Are you okay?" And they asked me, why do I hate that question? And I said, I think it's a very selfish, lazy question to ask someone. And the person said, why, obviously. And I told them, because if I had a genuine interest on something, I would ask questions that pertain to that. I would not ask that directly outright. If my intention through this conversation with Joel Ruiz right now was to identify how he is doing, I would not ask him, how are you feeling? Or how are you doing? I would ask, how was your day? How was your week? How's your wife? How's your kid?
Yeah.
I would ask, how's your job?
Yes. More direct.
Through those things, I can identify maybe
whether or not I'm okay.
Or I can kind of quantify, okay, maybe he's probably not having the best time right now. Now that I've identified and acknowledged the things that might be playing into his mental state, now I could ask Joel,
that is so interesting.
How are you, with all this stuff going on, like, how is it that you're feeling about this? Like, you just had a kid, bro. That shit's probably mad stressful. Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah.
What's it like to be a father? Like that. If that was if my intent was to truly understand how Joel is feeling, I would ask a series of questions, not just one. I feel like asking the question, "How are you?" is very lazy, and it's very it's almost like insulting. I don't know. I get frustrated
Yeah,
when I get
that's
asked that.
very interesting. I've never really thought about the questioning, are you okay as a question.
Yeah, I think
before.
it's a lazy question. If you really want to know somebody, if you really want to know how somebody's doing or how somebody's feeling, ask them a series of questions that don't beat around the bush. As much as you might think that question is being very direct, that person is unsure
It's
about
not.
that person is unsure about what how far we're gonna take this dance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We know, or if you know me personally, you got an idea on how chaotic my life is or
Right.
how chaotic this dance is.
Right.
You have to tell me while we're communicating what ground you want to step, what steps you want to take,
Mm-hmm.
because how much time you got, you know, for somebody like me, or for somebody like me, or similar to me, going through things in general. Like, there's things that you don't necessarily want to think about all of the time. There's, you know, you might take the time to think about it, but you know that stressing over it over a certain amount of time might not do you any well, so you put it on the back burner, etc. So asking things like, "Are you okay?" opens up a series, Pandora's box, bro.
Yeah. What do you mean by okay?
What do you mean, bro?
Mhm.
You know I got this going on. You know I got that going on. You know I got this going on. Like, what?
Well, okay.
What dance do you want to
Okay
take?
is not really. It's not pinpointing anything.
Exactly.
Really.
It's not.
What does that even mean?
It's not. You want to talk to me? Talk to me, bro. You want to
Yeah.
find out how I'm feeling? Figure it out.
Yeah.
And I know that might sound very like negative or maybe even narcissistic or self-centered of me to say, but I do think that within reason, I'm not irrational for thinking that is a very lazy question, because I don't expect everybody in passing who genuinely just wants a rough spark note version of how I'm feeling to ask these series of questions. But I think that for people who you feel like you give a fuck about, they're deserving of those series of questions.
And that's a relationship. That's building a relationship.
Yeah, and I think that's why I brought that situation up, because I realized that I don't want a relationship with somebody who's just gonna ask me, "Are you okay?" I got enough people asking me those lazy kind of questions.
Yeah.
Help me identify it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Take the time. And like I said, I know that might sound very narcissistic, and that's like, Edgar, why would you put that on somebody? Javi, why would you put that onto somebody? You know, it's important for you to kind of like ask yourself these questions.
Or don't ask the question at all then.
My point exactly. If you don't want to take it there, and if you don't want to dance, don't fucking ask me to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, don't fucking ask me, right?
You're right.
Like, if you want to be that late, or if you're going to ask, I'm assuming you somewhat give a fuck about the person. Take the time to ask the series of questions correctly. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume you're somebody that rarely cares, and I'm just going to tell you, I'm all right.
That's so interesting.
I'm cool. And like I said, I'm the only trouble I'm having with this, like, this series of thoughts that I just shared with you,
Mm-hmm.
is that it may come off as narcissistic. It's like, how dare you demand me to ask you a series of questions? Because I'm like trying to put myself in the other person's shoes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how dare you demand me to ask these series of questions? But I can't help but realize, if I care, those are the questions I'm gonna want to know.
Well, not only that, we're not demanding anyone to ask those questions, but
Also very true.
Yeah, in reality, first of all, this is the first time I've even thought about this, so you're blowing my mind. Like,
I'm sorry.
no, for real. Like, this is very interesting, because are you okay? I'm trying to relate this back with the whole building relationships, because day in and day out, like, for example, a relationship with my mom would ask me, how was school?
Yeah, I think that, honestly, I love your mom. It's a lazy question. It's a lazy question.
It is a lazy
I
question.
do think that authority and the relationship dynamic should come into question when you're making this kind of judgment on that.
That's true.
But because she is mom, she is the authority. I speak, you listen. So
For sure.
How was school? You tell me how was school. But we've entered a whole different world now, and we're adults now. It depends the kind of answer you want out of the person. Honestly, if I was a parent, and if I was talking to my 15-year-old kid, I'd say, "Yo, what classes are you taking this semester again?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, U.S. history. All right. Oh, okay, global. Oh, whatever.
Did you learn anything new at school?
Yo, how's biology going? I remember when I was in school, that was it was difficult. Or, yo, what's your favorite thing of math? What's your favorite math subject?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
shit like
yeah.
that. There's a series. Like, if you really, really want to get to
It's true, bro.
to that point, there's a way better ways to ask these things.
Sounds like therapy to me. But
What was that?
sounds like therapy to me.
I mean, it could. Shit. I'm just saying that. Are you okay is a lazy question.
I agree.
It's a very lazy question.
I agree.
How are you feeling is a lazy question.
Yeah.
These are things that you could easily infer by.
My wife for the longest time, and we can wrap up with this. My wife for the longest time would ask me, how was my day? Right? And I used to hate that question.
Yeah. Especially the salesman. That's
Exactly.
what you were doing, right?
Yeah. I used to hate that question. I'm like, what do you mean? How was my day? My day could have been stressful, happy, etc., etc. Like, it's just my life is so complicated. My day to day are so complicated.
Yeah.
Because of just the line of business that I do, and just in general, my life.
Yeah.
It's so complicated that when someone asks me that question, I'm just like, like, I gotta go back and now I gotta research how my day was.
Yeah, you
so
put it behind you already.
Yeah, exactly. So
Day
I
was
could
over.
elaborate it to you, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. I was working at this company. I was door knocking, for a political campaign, and I told the manager or the lady who was training me. I told her, I'm like, man, my wife, she always asks me how was my day, and I hate that question. And she was like, man, I wish someone asked me how my day was when I got home. And I was like, ever since that day, bro,
Yeah.
I never
questioned it again.
never questioned it again. So that's just food for thought. Anyways, guys,
Yes.
love you. Thank you for tuning in to this number 2 podcast.
Yeah, part 2.
Part two. Excuse me. Part 2.
Yeah.
I hope that you guys enjoyed, because I think we touched on a lot of different things. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the polls. Let us know how you guys think, and let us know if you guys have any questions or want us to bring in a part 3. So
Yeah. We're open to prompts too.
yeah,
So if you guys want to hear us discuss a specific topic or anything like that, feel free to shoot us a DM at the Academy of Man Instagram page, or either one of us individually. You can shoot us a DM also. We love you again. We appreciate you for tuning in, and
we'll catch you next time.
see you next time.
Peace.